Hi everyone, I'm Mickey Feldman Simon. I'm the founder of I'm Back at Work, and I'm excited to have Amanda Hennessy here with us today. Thank you all for joining us on this webinar during the interview process, Whose Opinion Matters Most. And just before we get started with the actual presentation, I want to make sure that you can all use the webinar panel. So your webinar panel now may look like the image on the right where it is all closed up, or it may look like the image on the left where it is expanded. And to open and close the webinar panel, you click on the orange arrow right there at the top, and it will open and close it. Now, if you need to move the webinar panel out of the way to make sure that it's not now obstructing and you can't see the presentation, then you just click at the top of it and drag it out of the way. So just anywhere at the top of the panel, and then just drag it out of the way. Now, in the last 5 minutes of the webinar, we will have a Q&A session. And to ask questions, you click on the gray questions bar, and then you type in your questions in the blue rectangle right underneath. And we will address all of your questions at the end of the webinar. So I am going to turn my video camera off now, and I'm going to pass the presentation over to Amanda, and she is going to talk to us about, during the interview process, whose opinion matters most. Thank you, Amanda.
Thank you so much for having me, Mickey. I'm really grateful for this opportunity to share my thoughts, which are many, on this really important topic. And so a little bit about me. Here I am, Amanda Hennessy. I am the founder of Boston Public Speaking. I have an MFA in acting, and so I performed for a great number of years. I offer coaching and workshops, and I started coaching probably about 10 years ago and offering workshops shortly after that. I coach clients on many different aspects of communication. We can sometimes think of public speaking as being a time when it's all about presentations in front of large crowds, but it can be so much more because I help people with confidence, presence, delivering presentations to people, crowds that are large and small, interviewing, leading meetings, even customer service, being on camera, sharing wedding vows, really. It's a very long list of people and things that I help. So I also know deeply that how people think about public speaking really determines whether they're going to thrive or be absolutely miserable while they're doing this. And in terms of nerves, which I know a lot of people struggle with, I understand. When I was an actress, even though I had a tremendous amount of training, at times I would get really paralyzed with fear, and it took so much joy out of something that I really loved. And so I studied a lot about how to manage anxiety, where it comes from, what to do with it. So I feel for you if that's your struggle, and I definitely have some strategies that can be helpful to you. And also, most importantly, I love what I do. I love helping people get out of their own way, be able to see public speaking and communication in a different way that empowers them so they can get out there and make the impact they want to make. All right, so let's get to the presentation at hand. All right, so during the interview process, whose opinion matters most? And actually, I'm going to disappear from the screen. Here I go. And so, whose opinion matters most? I deeply believe that yours is the one that's the most important. Your opinion about yourself, your resume, your past experience, capabilities, and gifts is crucially important. And today we're going to explore why this matters and how you can become your own biggest fan. So right now, I want you to take a look at the woman on the right of this slide. I really love this image. I love her vibe. I think she looks curious, confident, and very comfortable in her own skin. She radiates a positive energy, is very open. I think she looks like she'd be a good team player. She seems to be fully present in the moment, and I get a sense of her delight. What kind of thoughts do you think she's having? Like, what kind of thoughts do you think she has about herself for her to be radiating this kind of energy? I'm going to guess they're very positive. So now I want to contrast her with another character. We'll call him Mr. Fish. Here he is in all of his awkward glory. He's constrained. I doubt he can breathe deeply. We can't even see all of him. He looks very anxious to me and like he has stressful thoughts. Can you relate to this guy? I know a lot of people feel like this when they anticipate putting themselves out there into new arenas, when they think about going on that first interview after a while of being out of the workplace. Wherever you are right now, can you make yourself physically smaller and take up less space? I want you to notice when you do that how much harder it is to breathe. And if you can, see if you can notice the kinds of thoughts that you start to have when you get smaller. So our goal today is to embody the energy of the smiling, curious woman here, rather than embodying the small, tight, stressed energy of this fellow. All right, so let's look closely at his immediate environment. Mr. Fish is surrounded by water. I want you to now imagine that his bowl is also made up of water, but of a solid and cold sort. I want you to imagine that it's made up of ice. And if we were to zoom in to get a closer look at the icy components of the bowl, I want you to imagine that we find that it's covered in statements. We can imagine that the whole structure of the bowl is made up of icy, hard, unhelpful statements like these. I'm going to read a few. And as I read them, I want you to see how your own body reacts to hearing these words. What if there are all these things I don't know? I must know everything. I must be perfect. I must say all of the right things all of the time. They're going to think I don't know things. Oh, no, 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 no. I'm not hip to all this new technology. What do I possibly have to offer? Oh, no, oh, no, oh, no. I'm going to imagine that didn't feel that great. So these statements are constricting Mr. Fish's ability to move, to breathe deeply, to be his full size, to be fully seen, fully heard, or for this fishy fellow to be fully present, which is really critical. This is not good. This is not serving him, and this is not any fun. And you may relate to this scenario. Limited beliefs may be making you feel small and inadequate. Maybe they may be undermining your confidence as you step out into new circumstances. The following scenario may also be familiar. Before going out to search for new opportunities, Mr. Fish had been swimming in his own ocean for a while. There, he knows where the water is warm and cozy, where it's turbulent. He knows the cast of fish characters, the ones that are friendly and the ones that feel less safe. He knows where the food is. He knows this world and feels comfortable. But now it's time to go venture out and to explore another ocean. He has an opportunity. His little fisher in school, sorry, I just could not resist with this imagery. He feels antsy to experience something new. But which ocean? Where will he next explore? So Mr. Fish sets up interviews with different representatives of these oceans. And here's where he starts to feel uncomfortable. And this is when he becomes aware of his ice bowl made up of cold, limited beliefs. On some level, he may feel comfortable in this small space, but he sure doesn't look comfortable. When he's so tight and anxious, how will these interviewers really get a sense of him? And as he visits different possible new environments, how will he take in their pluses and minuses when he's so constricted and anxious? It is so painful to see a vast and mysterious ocean that he naturally wants to explore, an ocean that looks different from where he's been. But his ice bowl constrains him and freezes him in his tracks. This ice bowl makes it very difficult to assess this new ocean during the interview process, to sense the temperature, to get the vibe, to clearly see the cast of characters, to sense if it would be a good fit for him there, to see if he does indeed want to explore and make an impact on this world. So how does this narrative change for him? How can he melt this constricting ice bowl and free himself up to truly be himself? First, Mr. Fish has to sense and see the bowl. He needs to heighten his awareness of it keenly. And when he hits up against it and it hurts and feels like a wall, he'll know he's touching it. He needs to be able to see these statements, and then he needs to melt them with patience and especially with love. Love is a strong and warm force that can melt these icy statements. And he may need to come back repeatedly to melt bits at a time. But if he is persistent, the walls will eventually melt. And he may need some fish buddies to help him with their insights and love and warmth. What will not help him is judgment of what he sees. That only creates another hard, icy statement wall. But eventually, he will feel that wall start to give. And then he will feel the rush of freedom and a bigger view and a much more expansive experience of himself. Look how happy he is. Then he can feel the new ocean. He has the freedom to be truly present, seen, and heard. He can test the water. He can get a better look at things around him and see if this particular ocean will be a good new adventure for him, a good place to explore, a good fit. So Mr. Fish is on his way to exploring his options from an expansive place rather than a frozen one. And because he's taking up space, he can breathe. I want the same for you. So how do we get there? We need to have awareness of our own ice bowls made of cold, limited beliefs and melt them. All right, so how do we do this? This is what I recommend. Find a space by yourself. Get quiet and still. Take up space. Do not get into the fetal position. Breathe deeply. Even if you can do belly breathing, breathing as deeply into your diaphragm as you can will help you calm down and heighten your awareness. I want you to observe any feelings, anxiety, pain, sadness, anger, and I want you to see if you can observe a thought connected to that feeling, and then sit with it and don't judge it. This is so important. That just creates a whole other wound. So judging is not helpful. Just observe and open your heart to it to melt that ice. Again, breathe and then let it go. Take up more space and choose a new belief, one that really serves you. So I'm going to share with you a belief that I love so much. And as you see it, I want you to take note of how it feels in your body when you take this in. I got this. So think it to yourself or say it out loud. Notice how this makes you feel in your body. Notice how it makes you feel emotionally. Notice your breathing. For me, I feel very expansive and capable with this. All right, so now I'm going to give you a contrast. Check this one out. I'm not ready for this. Okay, we can see the text is not even quite ready to be centered on this gray circle. And I want you to notice how you feel as you say this out loud or think it to yourself like, I'm not ready for this. Notice how it makes you feel emotionally, how your thoughts are playing out. Notice your breathing. And so I really want you to take note as we continue to go through this, what concepts, what thoughts feel expansive, such as I've got this, as opposed to the ones that lead you to contract, like I'm not ready for this. All right. So let's take a moment to talk about the first sentence on that ice wall. What if there are things I don't know? This may lead to some other thoughts as well. I will look dumb and out of touch. I must know everything. Everything. This is a lot of pressure. These are not really fun thoughts, are they? All of the time. I must be perfect. Wow, that's a lot of fun. What else do we have here? I must say all of the right things. All right. So I want to dig even deeper and really think about your relationship with the unknown. Have you dealt with the unknown before? Let's really think this through logically. I'm going to promise you that if you are engaging with this webinar, that thus far in your life, you have faced the unknown before and you have found your way through. Are you a human on this wacky planet called Earth? A lot of unknown here. Have you fallen in love and or gotten married? Have you broken up or gotten divorced? Have you graduated? Have you had a child? Maybe more than one? Have you been challenged by a parent who is in ill health? Then yes, you have faced and navigated through the unknown and you are still standing. You figured it out. You Googled. You asked safe and trusted friends and family for their insights. You thought it through. You tried stuff. So I want you to know that in the past, you have faced a lot of circumstances with the unknown and you've made it through. It might have been messy, but you got here. So facing a new interview situation, a new work environment, you can figure it out. You can seek support and get that support. All right. So when I contemplate what I've needed to previously navigate the unknown, these are some words that come to me. Flexibility, adaptability, prioritizing, and I'm noticing a little spelling error with adaptability, so we'll just adapt to my new spelling, and reprioritizing. So here's what you can say to the question, what if there are things I don't know? I will figure it out. That's what you've done in the past, and you can do that again. All right, so let me ask you. These are the things that you can do, right? Who would you rather hire? A person who thinks they know everything, or a person who is eager, curious, and open to learning and tackling new things and open to change? Frankly, I would rather go with the woman on the right. And so when you are exploring new oceans, new job markets, new groups, bring curiosity, bring a sense of delight, bring a sense of adventure. I know whenever I look at pictures of the ocean, I lose myself. I'm so taken in with the beauty and the change and the difference. And I think if there's a way we can bring that spirit to these circumstances, we will feel more expansive. Bringing curiosity and a sense of delight will help you to stay present, which is really important. I want you to be present so that you can share of yourself from a sense of freedom. So you can freely share and fully listen, and so you can accurately take in the environment, the people, and the vibe. I want you to be able to receive valuable information about the environment you're exploring. So while you're on this new adventure of exploring perhaps this ocean, or this one, or perhaps it looks like this, or like this, or like this, keep your physicality open. Bring that sense of curiosity. When things around us feel like they have stakes, when we feel like we have something to win or lose, or when something feels big, our response can be to expand or to contract. So we can rise to the challenge physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually by getting bigger, or we can shrink back in all those ways as well. So I really like to encourage my clients to just continue to take up more space, especially when they feel more scared. Fill up that chair, stand taller. It's going to help you calm down. All right, so now I really want to think about, as you contemplate that interview ahead of you or interviews, I want you to think about all that you could get at the interview. Perhaps you could get a job, money, knowledge, respect, benefits, security, experience. So when you think of all that you could get, how does that feel in your body? Does it make you feel excited? Does it make you feel stressed because you might not get them? Take note of that. All right, so now I want to shift our attitude and focus to what you could potentially give at the interview. All right? What could you share? What do you bring to the table as a potential collaborator? Your knowledge, your wisdom, your insights, your skills, your heart, your passion, your enthusiasm, your desire to collaborate, your desire to make an impact. So when you contemplate these, what do you feel in your body? For me, I feel more expansive and I feel more grounded. I know that I'm bringing in good things to this interaction where I'm sharing and I'm also taking in valuable information to see if this would be a good partnership in which I could share my gifts and make an impact. So again, we want to come in, you want to go in that interview knowing like you have things to offer and you're going to share what they are. All right. Here are some positive thoughts. I'm going to share a few, and then I'd love for you to take a few minutes to think of your own positive thoughts. Even jot them down if you possibly can. These are some that have really helped me in my journey. I faced the unknown many times. Change is exciting. And even if these don't feel 1,000% true in this moment, the more you commit to them, the more true they will become for you, and your psyche will catch up and get more relaxed or get more excited. Okay? So just even take a few moments now to think of some that would really serve you. All right, I'm going to share a few more ones that I love. I've had many experiences and I have a lot to offer. I release the need to prove my worth. I'm there to see if it's a good fit for me. I think that comes from a very empowering place. I'm there to potentially collaborate. I'm there to give and share of myself. I'm excited to be curious. I'm excited to be present. And I definitely encourage you, if any of these are helpful or you have any that are really nourishing for yourself, write them down, look at them, put them in a place where you see them all the time. You really want to have this be the world in which you live. So if we go back to that original question, we're going to know that first interview is with you. You are with you all of the time. So let's have that relationship be one of encouragement and positivity. And you got this. See how happy Mr. Fish is? He's on your team too. So here we are at the end. Thank you so much for listening. I really appreciate it. Please soak these concepts in, see if they work for you, and I'll hand this back over to Mickey.
Well, thank you, Amanda. And I hope you're all feeling a lot more empowered now, and you're creating an internal narrative that is supporting a much more confident you. And when you walk into that interview next, you're going to feel very strong and very confident. And while you type in your questions now, I want to tell you a little bit about the I Am Back at Work community. So type in your questions and we will address them in just a moment. So we heard from you, and we heard that you wanted more ongoing support from us, and that you wanted more accountability. And our goal is to help you with step-by-step in a return to work process. We want to help you set realistic goals and achieve them. We want to provide you with tips and advice, weekly Q&A webinars where you can ask general and personal questions. Those webinars are not recorded. And we also provide you with exclusive materials just for the group. Now, have a look on the website. There is a tab for the community, and we're also staying with the mission of I'm Back at Work to provide an affordable platform to help every woman return to the workforce. And our group costs less than $10 a month. That's about the cost of your Netflix subscription. And if you're serious about returning to the workforce and making a change, this is the opportunity to do that for you. So Patricia is saying, thanks Amanda for a great presentation and images that I will keep present in my head. Thank you, Patricia. Any other questions? So one more question here. If I am nervous while at the interview, any tricks that you can provide to provide like a quick relief of calming my nerves?
Great. That's a really great question, and one that I have often.
And thank you, Anne, for asking that.
Yay, Anne. What I would say is what can happen is we can suddenly get nervous about being nervous. And I think if there's a few things we can do, take that deep breath and really feel your feet on the floor, feel your rear in the seat, and really see who you're speaking to. We want to get focused so you don't get lost in like unhelpful thoughts in your head, like, oh my God, I'm nervous. Oh my God, that means all these terrible things. When people are passionate, there is extra energy. And so if we can get back to a place of love in terms of like, do you love this office? Do you love the plant that is sitting there on the desk? Do you love the color of the paint? Anything you can fall in love with in that moment will help you calm down. Find something that you love to talk about. I think those can be ways. And also, if we can decide that having that extra energy, if we decide not to hate it, and I understand that may feel difficult, but if we can start to let it just be and not fight it, we're gonna let go of some other kinds of stress in our body. I hope that makes sense. Let me know if you need any further clarification, Anne.
So one other thing I'd like to add there, I find that for myself, sometimes even just to acknowledge the fact that I'm feeling nervous, then it sort of like just slows me down and say, okay, I'm feeling nervous. Take a deep breath, slow down, talk a little bit slower to catch my breath and to get over it. Because if you don't take that moment to even realize that that's what's going on, you can't do anything to really overcome it. So this is it. No more questions today. So thank you everybody for joining us today. And thank you again, Amanda, and I hope to see you all in upcoming webinars.
Thank you so much.